Welcome back to the channel. As you saw, I finished constructing the 3 compost bins that I wanted to, and there's nothing special about building a compost bin out of pallets. You can make it special. If you go over to Pinterest and search, or even to Google and search compost bin pallets, I'm sure you'll find 1,000,001. For the main structure, I just took some long deck screws and I held it together because I want the main structure really to hold together the longest. The facing boards that I put on the side to give it a little decorative, since I kind of see it from the driveway, and also the front here, I just used sheetrock screws. If they rust through in a year, they rust through in a year. I can always rehang them or do something different at that time. This is not meant to be a permanent structure. This is meant to be a structure that hopefully lasts me a couple of years. I can put some stuff in there to rot down to compost. And as you can see, since the pallets have open sides, what I did was I just took some cardboard, folded it up, hung it off of the rails. The cardboard will rot down along with everything else. And that's what I did in the first bin. I'll probably do that in the second bin and even the third bin, because by the time you get to the third bin, you're down to hopefully rich loam, loamy, composty mixture. You know what I'm talking about. But anyways, on the bottom of the first bin and the second bin, I wound up putting a pile of wood chips. Pretty deep in the first one, not so deep in the second one. The first bin is going to get filled up first, and you may say, with what? Well, even though we're still in summer and there's still stuff growing, there is stuff that needs to be deadheaded or pruned, so I did some of that already. I went through the Mexican sunflower the other day and I gathered up some of this. I was just going through some of the boxes that I grabbed from the garage, and they had some packing paper in it. So that'll also just get tossed into here. If you shred this stuff pretty fast, finely, it'll rot down faster. But we're still in August. It's about 150 degrees in the shade. I'd say it's global warming, but this is just the South. And yet I have more. Sunflower heads and basil. And more sunflower heads and mums. Oh, I'm sorry, zinnias. And of course, kitchen scraps and coffee grounds. Although I think this is just mostly coffee grounds. Now, if you want to know how to make compost, honestly, there's 1,000,001 videos out there, so I'm really not going to bore you. But basically, anything that's not cooked, you could put in your compost bin. Cotton t-shirt, cut it up, throw it in the compost bin. Paper from your office, rip it up, shred it up, throw it in the compost bin. Coffee grounds, tea bags, flowers that you deadhead, you get the gist. All of that stuff, throw it in the compost bin. If you have basil that has gone over, it's not a wasted resource. It's a resource that's just going to get recycled or repurposed for something else. The wood chips that I had from the trees, and this is one of the reasons why I asked to keep those wood chips from the trees that got taken down last year. Again, go in the compost bin. Those wood chips, they have various microbes and all sorts of other shenanigans in them. With the rain that we're supposed to be getting soon, the heat, and then of course all the bugs that we have around here. In fact, there were some beetles that were already in the wood chips that are now in this pile. They'll all work to break down the wood chips. They'll work to break down the flowers, the coffee grounds. Used and spent compost will go in here, and of course that will then, it'll all get mixed together with the good stuff and basically be re-energized. Ooh, speaking is hard. And again, the cardboard that's hanging off the sides, this will also rot. It'll all fall down. The reason I just put it on the sides is because there's gaps in the slats. If you wanted to get fancy, if you want to take the time and the effort and the energy, you could turn around and take all the boards off of the pallet. You could re-put the boards back on. You could try to find pallets that have boards that are spaced tightly together. You could do all these things. You could put a nice slat system in the front. Let me show you something. In bin number 2 here, all I did was I just took this piece of pallet and I stuck it in the front. What I'll wind up doing eventually is putting some facing boards on that to close up the gaps. And I will probably build some sort of fencing structure here, again, to hold back the compost as I fill this bin up. Same thing with this bin. Right now I have a few boards on the bottom, and I wanted those closely together, but as they go up, they may get spaced out more. This last bin, which right now the wheelbarrow is hanging out in, will probably have a lot of boards that are going to be pretty closely together. I didn't do anything with them today because back in here, in this pile over here of pallets, there's a wasp or two, and They seemed a little angry when I was banging around them, so I thought I'd better leave them alone. But when I get to needing to fill this bin, I'll probably come up with some sort of system maybe to make removable slats. And again, this will be where the finished compost goes. Or I will either repurpose or get rid of all these pallets. There's a big box of stuff here. That's all going to get burned in the winter time. It's too hot now. But those pallets right over there either will get reused and I'll make a fourth bin, and that's where the finished product will go, or they'll be used for something else. Again, maybe even burned. But even if they're burned, those ashes will wind up going into the rose garden someplace to help enrich the soil and add organic matter to the ground. Flies, gnats. It's getting that time of the evening. Believe it or not, it's still hot, but all the nice little bugs come out. But wait a minute, Jay. What about those compost bins over there? Your originals. Well, I may wind up keeping them, or they might wind up being used for firewood, but I really don't want them there anymore. I see them whenever I come down the driveway. And what I'm thinking about doing on this back edge over here is, since all that soil underneath there is now beautiful, rich soil from all the compost, everything rotting down over the past year, I may wind up planting some grasses. And this way it gives a sort of a organic fence, as it were, to this backwoods area here. So I don't have to look into the deep woods or the compost bins. I may wind up moving those compost bins, who knows, someplace. Maybe I'll move them to the vegetable garden. I don't know yet, but I don't want to see them there anymore. It's one of the reasons I built the new compost bins. That, and as the garden grows and everything starts building up more, I have more plant material, I need some place to put all the plant material. And these bins, they barely cut it last year. They're not going to cut it this year. I have that much more stuff, and again, I'm still growing. So this was the project that I started on Monday that I couldn't finish because of the wasp's nest. I took care of the wasp's nest, and now I basically finished this project, at least for today. Again, I'll probably add on to this as time goes on with the different fronts. If I do make any changes that I think are noteworthy, I will make a video about it or mention it in the video. So if you haven't subscribed, please subscribe, click that bell icon to be notified when I do post a new video. Please check out all the links below. There's all sorts of good stuff there. And I think that's going to wrap it up for today. I'm going to catch you on the next one. Bye-bye.